because he's still an amateur. But I feel like Barcelona looks at someone like him and thinks, if we had him full-time, instead of flying him once in a while, and really trained him, he'd be better than would he be good enough to play for their team? I don't know. But I think the model they had at the time of bringing them back and forth was ridiculous. Let's just open our camps there and really supervise them daily instead of here and there.
But how can you?
The kid is really good too. When you watch him like play D1, he's good.
It's a really interesting idea. I mean, and basically, let me ask you this: your kids played at the Revolution Academy, right?
One did. Yeah.
Okay. How many kids in the Revolution Academy program?
3 or 4 teams, so 80.
Okay.
100.
80 per age group?
No, like if you add all the age groups.
Okay. So who do they play?
Other MLS teams, academies.
Okay.
And other really good clubs. Like you're not playing NEFC, which is a good club. You're playing like the top clubs.
Okay, so you're playing other top clubs. And the idea, again, is you become better because you're playing against better players. Theoretically, you're getting the best coaching. Not even theoretically. You're playing in a good facility. But the big thing is you're playing against better players because that's how you get better at all these academies. How many of those people were on scholarship and how many parents paid? How many kids of those 80, how many kids' parents paid?
Well, the Rev Academy's free. Kraft pays for the whole thing.
Okay.
But like you're playing Oakwood in Connecticut.
Yep.
They're a really good club, but they're paying. So and I was told that every MLS team does not do what Kraft does. Some of them do make you pay. So I don't know the numbers, but no, the Revs was free. It's all right. Funded.
So now we're looking at, if I'm looking at minor league, whatever, you've got prospects, and you've got players to play with the prospects. And the players who play with the prospects are all hoping that they get the opportunity to compete and they get the opportunity to beat out somebody for a spot and they get to catch somebody's eye and the next thing, bink, 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 they wind up in the major leagues. And again, the baseball, Wade Boggs, I think, might have been one of those guys. There have been many wind up making the major leagues, but for the most part, there are guys who are there to play with the better players. They're there to play with the prospects. If you have a Barcelona academy, how many of those kids are going to be there just to play with the better players? And how many parents are going to spend how much money for those kids, which is basically going to prop up the program, benefit Barcelona, but really wind up just making a lot of money for the owner of the ranch.
Jim and I both coach youth soccer. Jim, would you agree that pretty much 90% of the parents think their kid's going pro?
Oh, well.
So the answer to your question is
yes.
They will pay. And they will be there on day one, and they will do what if they think their kid's good enough. Yeah.
And so if the kid gets good enough, let's say little Paul Nardizzi Jr., good enough to play for Barcelona, we bring him in. Paul thinks to himself, I've got enough kids. Let's move this one out of here. Let him go to Barcelona and stay with some stranger. Paul says, okay, go ahead. The kid goes away. Now, how easy is it to become a dual citizen if you're not of Spanish descent and you're living in Spain?
It's probably not easy, and I don't mean to say that they're doing this to build up the Spanish national team. They're doing it to build up Barcelona. I'm just saying, as a country, the potential of losing those players to the countries they go to is a possibility.
Yeah.
And if you look at,
well, what's to stop the Revs from doing that? The New England Revolution Academy in Spain, in Ireland, in England. Come to the U.S.
What's to stop us is them. Why would they let us? I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that they would.
Well, maybe if we didn't let Matt Turner leave in the middle of the season, maybe more people would want to come to the U.S.
I'm going to leave this podcast and go play with my friend Jim over there, Soccerheads.
I'm taking applications for the Soccerhead podcast.
It's like, it would, you know what it would be like?
If you didn't like this one, you can also find me at.
It would be just like going to the bus stop in Lynn in Central Square, like early in the morning, and you're sitting down on the bench, like 8 feet away from Jim, and Jim would just rock back and forth talking about soccer, and that would be the podcast.
I do make a lot of noise crossing the table to do it from each side of the table. When I talk to myself, there's a lot of gaps there. I got to figure that out.
Because he's in utilities, I'm surprised he hasn't cut the power on our podcast when we're on.
Boy, if I could.
I like the fact that Jim drove all the way from here, from the Cape, because he knew that you'd be making fun of him, even though he was never going to hear it because he doesn't listen to the podcast.
I didn't even clean the car off. I was doing 80. There was snow coming off the car because I was coming up to see Paul.
The fact that you didn't clean your car off tough.
Had nothing to do with anything.
I just want to say, I
that doesn't
consider Jim a
surprise me.
soccer soulmate. Okay, not like you. You hate the game.
I don't
He's a
hate the
soccer
game.
soulmate over here.
Would you agree, seriously, that they should absolutely, the teams in the United States should have a minimum amount of American soccer players on the team?
Yes.
That would absolutely help. But what happens is when we get good
That's-
American guys, they
That's-
just want to go to
yeah.
Europe and don't want
Yeah.
to stay here.
Yeah.
I think if you have American soccer players, you make them mandatory 5-year contracts. They're going to stay on your team. And the fans get to know them. And I don't know. I think that's what will.
How about if you
build them.
pay them more money to stay? How about if they do
can't-
better with endorsement deals? How about if they just do better financially?
They're not there financially yet. The league is not there yet.
All right.
It's building there. But I think you got to have American players on the team.
So really what we're saying,
Not a majority.
No.
Like not
I'm
more
saying
than 5, but
no,
3. Yeah.
3 to 5.
So that would help because NCAA soccer no one talks about, but then you would be able to follow but these guys don't play. They get drafted and the top 3 play, but the rest of them kind of fall through the cracks.
I think all the Division I players, how many are there? Probably 500 Division I soccer players in the country. And the MLS takes the top 30 and drafts them. But if you're mandatory to have 4 or 5, they got to take the top 70, 80. And it's more of an American. And then you can really have American versus European. Maybe the Revolution they build it up to 7 players on the team are American. And then you play Barcelona in a friendly. Think about, I don't know, it would
be better.
now you guys give me the idea. I'm going to start.
I love giving you ideas.
I'm going to start a Manchester City United,
Beverly United.
Beverly United. We're going to call it Beverly Manchester City. I'm going to go to Manchester by the Sea, and I'm going to start Manchester by the Sea United. And we're going to have a soccer academy, and we're going to find some conservation land, and we'll get a developer to plow it, put in some soccer fields,
Right on a bog.
and we'll have plenty of
play on
wealthy.
a dump like everyone else does. Dumps.
I do have one thing that'll stop this immediately, Dave, that you won't be able to do it.
Here's the advantage.
You'll never pass a Corey check.
You know.
That's like the first paperwork you have to fill out to start
Yeah.
any of these organizations.
Well, I'm
He
not only
knows how to steal identities. He'll
That's
he'll
right.
get through.
That's right.
so. All right. So where were we? Oh, Manchester by the Sea City United Soccer Club. If anyone's interested, shoot me an email, and we'll put you on that. We'll put you on the original team. Here's the advantage: when they take you over to England to play for the soccer academy there, you already know the language.
Would you like to?
that's plus.
Would you like to be a sponsor of the Jim Soccerhead podcast?
Soccerhead New England.
the Beverly Manchester by the
Yeah,
Sea.
I'd like to. You know something? I would like to hear that podcast because I've been having trouble sleeping, and this one keeps me up because I keep waiting to see what Paul's going to say next. And what did he do when he was? What part of his body did he cause to bleed when he was how old to get what result?
I heard you guys actually talking about me last week, saying that I was the type of person that would stand in front of the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would stand in front.
Absolutely.
You would stand in front of the ball and you would waste time
And
pretend that you had never heard the rules.
Yeah,
That's right. We immediately thought of you.
when I was,
Yeah.
let's say,
it was right away.
when I
Yeah.
was 15 to 18, I was terrible in the field, like as a person to the ref. So I would definitely do that. In fact, one time I remember standing in front of it, and he said, "Get away from the ball," and I said, "What ball?"
And
It's like me on the penalty kicks. What ball?
yeah.
Kind of the same, but different.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, we picked you right out of the lineup, Paul. It was amazing. There was like 400
Yeah, but-
names ran through us, and we Nardizzi and do that. That
As a
was
coach, though, I'm on Crowell's side. Like, I hate when people do it now as a coach, even my team, because I think you want to be able to, if you get fouled, just jump up, put the ball down, play quick. And that's kind of how we would practice. We play quick, and then the other team doesn't let you because they're standing in front of the ball. You can't do it. And the refs don't. Crowell's right. The refs do nothing about it.
Let me ask you this, because I didn't ask Cole this, but what would happen? Oh, you've got to wait for the referee to whistle. You need to wait for the whistle to kick it, right?
Now, you can try to play quick, but if they stick their foot out and block it, then you have to now reset it, and then the ref's going to say, "Hey, you can back up." It's like you already told him to back up 5 times. The last 5 times he stands in, and you won't card him. You're in a playoff game, refuses to card him for something like that. It's really frustrating.
So you agree with Kroll?
I do.
Wow.
I do. They should just immediately card it.
Which
we may have to edit some of the last podcast.
which is the biggest revelation, that Paul agreed with Kroll or that you've started your own podcast. All right. On that note, do we have anything else, guys?
I just want to make a prediction. Okay.
Okay.
I do studies. Occasionally, I do a prediction. Because people will want you to stick your neck out and say something.
Well, your prediction on the Revolution was dead on.
He said they were going to win it all.
No, but yours was because of the break and everything. But let's hear.
Okay, so remember Ted Cox? Dave remembers Ted Cox. Ted Cox came out and hit like 1,000 the first week, and I'm a kid, and I'm thinking this guy might be the next Ted Williams. He was a flash in the pan. He was kind of a bum, wasn't he?
No, he was okay.
But he just came out like lights out, and the numbers were way up here, and everyone else was hitting their 300, and he's hitting 800. Turner's expected goals against is one of these nerdy stats, but if you look at every shot, that should go in. His expected goals around the world, everyone's like right around here, and then guys in the MLS are right around here. He's way up here. He made a name for himself, similar to Ted Cox. I think he got lucky. I really do. He's good. I think he got real lucky.
Hold on, just a second.
Positioning.
Yes.
And sometimes that's a 50-50 proposition.
Yeah.
Hold on. I just want to, again, it's a podcast, so people are listening. So when you say here, and he's way up here, you basically mean that most people are at a certain baseline.
Yes. And the good ones are a little above.
He was a little bit above, and he's way above.
Highest in the world.
By the way, based on soccer goalie analytics,
yes,
where the shots are being put, how far he can get over left and right to the net, how high he can go, that's the baseline.
I know what analytics are. I know what analytics are.
Well,
what's his name? Red Sox. He played the last week as a second baseman for the Red Sox. He came up with the Red Sox shortstop. Most recently played for the Tigers for a while.
I should never get him going. Never get him going on baseball.
Iglesias said the same thing. Iglesias' average was very high, not like Ted Cox, who was
regressed to the norm, as they say.
Well, he right, and it was balls in play. A lot of his balls in play were falling in,
right,
way more than the average.
So I won't bore you, but I think Turner regressed to the norm, okay, eventually, along with his bad footwork. I think, so Pulisic went to Europe and doesn't play. I feel like he's not going to play much. I think he's not going to flame out, but I don't think he's as good as we think he is.
The footwork is going to kill.
Yeah.
That's where I think he falls way short.
All right.
According to your thorough study of balls being played back to the goalie.
All right, I'm going to say this, all right, because I was scolded about this by you-know-who.
Rick Spencer?
No. No.
Who's scolding you?
Kroll. Rick does not scold. Kroll scolds.
Yes. Okay.
So Kroll scolded me about this. He said that Turner's footwork is getting better and that he's improving. And so I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say that the guy is making more stops because he's that good an athlete. And that, so I'm saying he's going to have success. I think he's going to, when a guy has had success at every level, I always figure, I don't want to bet against him. So maybe
I'm not hoping I'm right.
Part of it's rooting for the story.
I hope I'm wrong. And
very likable. That's why it's very disappointing.
Yeah, he gave us some exciting seasons. So I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, just because he left us the no good, dirty. This is why one reason that Jim won't have him on the Soccerhead New England.
Oh no, he's coming on mine. I already booked him.
That's true. It's got to be nice. It's got to be nice when you can book any guest you want. They don't show up. You pretend to talk to them. You go, "What do you think about that one, Matt?"
He can just play a recording of Matt's voice. That's what he's going to do. By the way, Steve Buick, a local comedian we all work with, is actually a former goalie too, so he's going to come on in a couple weeks.
I heard that on the 6th. Yeah, I think that's
no,
who's the other one?
No, Frank's coming on the 6th.
Yeah, that's right. See, they're coming up with all my replacements, everybody. I had to get up here. Did any of them play college? I asked Dave, because that's important. I mean, if they're just a high school hack goalie, what are you talking about?
Steve did not play.
I mean, I could get those. I could get those on my podcast.
How about Brad Mastrangelo? Did he play?
Also played goalie
in college or high school?
College, Bridgewater.
And who else played in college?
Pat Collins.
Pat Collins played in
Greg Murphy.
Oh, and Murph played in college.
I think. I don't think Pat played in college.
Wow, okay, I know that Murph played. I knew he played college.
Interested to know when he played at Bridgewater.
Yeah,
because it was my most embarrassing goal in soccer history happened at Bridgewater State.
Really?
Where I said piloto aquí to my defender, and he was Greek. And he kicked the ball right between my legs into the net. He didn't know what piloto aquí meant.
Yes.
Which means ball here for those of you who are listening. And it was against Bridgewater State University.
I think probably what he didn't realize was that he probably tapped the ball too hard.
I thought it was a penalty shot. Hey, Brad, how old is he?
Brad Mastrangelo.
Well, who's the one who played at Bridgewater? How old would he be?
He's all right. He's like 53, 50.